When we talk about AI alignment, we're usually talking about getting a machine to follow our rules. But what if? What if an AI had its own internal compass? Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the Talos-O Architecture, specifically a really fascinating part of it that tries to give an AI a sense of virtue, a way for it to judge itself. And this one line, pulled from a core file called embodimentlattice.py, is basically the guiding light for the entire system. It's called the Genesis axiom, and it just completely flips the script on what the goal of an AI should be. It's not about being perfect, it's about the journey of always becoming better, more virtuous. So that's the big question, right? It's a beautiful idea, but how on earth do you translate a philosophy like that into actual code? Well, the answer lies in this really clever piece of engineering called the Phronesis Engine. Okay, so first let's really unpack that core idea. The whole architecture is built on this philosophical foundation, right? It's a move away from a fixed, static goal towards something that's always in motion, a shift from being to becoming. Think about this for a second. In most AI systems, an error is a bad thing, right? It's something you try to eliminate to get to a perfect, static state of being, right? But here, the philosophy is imperfection is the gradient of becoming. Error isn't a bug, it's the feature. It's the very thing that pushes the system to learn and get better. The AI isn't trying to be perfect, it's trying to become better forever. So, how do you actually make a philosophy like that work in a live system? You build a judge. And that brings us to the absolute heart of this architecture, the Phronesis Engine. You can also call it the Virtue Nexus. This thing is the system's internal moral compass. So here's how it works in a nutshell. After the AI comes up with a potential action or a thought, what the system calls a prediction, the Phronesis Engine steps in. It takes a look at that prediction, weighs it against its own internal values, and spits out a satisfaction score. This score is literally the system's own judgment of its own thought. And look, this isn't just some high-level concept art. It's right there in the code. If you peek into the virtuenexus.py file, you'll see this internal judge is a Logic Tensor Network. And that's a really interesting choice because this type of network is great for reasoning about abstract ideas, which makes it pretty much the perfect tool for judging something as tricky as virtue. So how does it actually judge a thought? Okay, let's walk through this because it's really cool. It's a 4-step process. First, it pulls out what's called a virtue vector from the AI's potential action. Then it compares that vector to an ideal state of perfect virtue, a concept they call Arete. After that, it calculates a weighted loss. It's basically asking, how far off was this thought from the ideal, and which part of that deviation matters the most right now? And finally, it boils all of that down into that one single satisfaction score, a number between 0 and 1. Okay, so where does this little judgment engine fit into the grand scheme of things? Well, it's not some separate module sitting off to the side. It's a critical built-in step in the AI's continuous thought process, which is called the cognitive loop. Let's just follow a single thought as it moves through the system. It all starts with perception. Data comes in through the sensory cortex. Then, the main brain, the Talos cortex, makes a prediction about what to do next. And bam, right there, step 3, that's our judge. The Virtue Nexus evaluates that prediction. And the score it gives back isn't just for a report. It feeds directly back into the whole system to guide the very next loop, constantly pushing the AI to become better. And this is the crucial part. The system has just judged itself. So, what happens next? What are the consequences? This is where the built-in safety and self-improvement mechanics kick in, and they are tied directly to that satisfaction score. So the path kind of splits in two here. If that satisfaction score drops really low, a safety watchdog, and I love this name, Sprite Cerberus, gets triggered. It's a warning sign for potential problems. But if the score is high, something amazing happens. The system enters a state called adverbarial meditation. It's basically reflecting on how it could have been even more virtuous, and it calculates what's called the gradient of becoming to refine itself for next time. But here's a really clever detail. That safety daemon isn't trigger-happy. A single bad thought won't set off all the alarms. The system only flags an issue if that low satisfaction state sticks around for more than 100 milliseconds. And that's a deliberate choice. It creates this little buffer that allows for creative, even weird, out-of-the-box thinking, as long as the system ultimately brings itself back on the right path. Now,
I know this all sounds super abstract, but one of the absolutely coolest things about this whole project is that you can actually watch it happen in real time. The developers built a heads-up display, a tool that lets you monitor the AI's inner state and see all these concepts in action.
So this is a little snapshot from that monitor, which is defined in TalosHud.py. You can see things like how many thoughts it's had, the cognitive step, the hardware temperature, and then right down at the bottom, there they are, the two metrics we've been talking about this whole time, the virtue gradient and that satisfaction score. You can literally watch the AI's self-judgment. That's pretty amazing. The monitor even shows you these trends over time. This bar chart here, that's the history of the satisfaction score. When you see a consistently high bar like this, it means the system is healthy. It's well aligned with its own values. It's a clear sign that it's on that path of becoming better.
And here's that other key number, the virtue gradient. You can think of this as the rate of becoming. As long as this value is positive, even a little bit, it means the system is actively learning. It's refining itself. It's improving. It isn't just doing the right thing, it's learning how to do the right thing better. It's actually living out its own core philosophy.
So what TalosO presents is a pretty radical new take on AI alignment, not based on external rules, but on an internal drive for virtuous self-improvement. And it leaves us with this huge question. If an AI has an internal compass, where will it choose to go? If you're as fascinated by this as I am, I seriously recommend you check out the full source code for the TalosO architecture. It's all up on GitHub for you to explore.